Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the show. And I got to say, it was a crazy week 13. I mean, absolutely insane. We're talking the studs and sucks for week 13, honoring the guys that did well and really crapping on the guys that did terrible, including Kenneth Walker leaving the game early on something that didn't even look serious. We're going to talk about this because I got events, okay? Now, again, really upset with Kenneth Walker, upset with Joe Mixon not playing. We're talking about that, got some latest news and notes, but really want to give you guys a suck of the week at each position. So, it's exciting to talk about this stuff because this is the stuff that, can help you for next week or can help you in the future, because by seeing the sucks and seeing what happened, you're able to project forward and say, hey, man, next time I won't make the same mistake or try not to make similar mistakes. But some of this stuff is just really literally out of our control. So Studs and Sucks week 13, got a good one here for you, including latest fantasy football news. Before we get into that, guys, again, we got Monday Night Football tonight. I don't know if I'm that excited about tonight's game. Bucks versus the Saints, 8:50. Am I excited about this one? Am I jumping out of bed this morning going, yeah, I'm excited? Not really. I don't care about this one, but Buccaneers are a 3-point favorite here. But what I do is I enhance my game watching experience. Head on over, you guys can too, Hooters.com, or download the app right now. Try their football bundles. And the code you want to use is FFC20. That code is going to save you $10 on an order of 30 or more on takeout or delivery, guys. Go to the site right now, check out their bundles, browse, order some wings, order some nachos, or again, there is a lot of good deals with these football bundles. Take advantage of those. Order some in right now, guys. Takeout or delivery. FFC20 is the code you want to use. Frank Charlie 20 is the code. And upon checkout, guys, also grab yourselves a Hooters catalog, guys. I got one here. Keep all the important dates on it. Make sure you guys grab the latest version here. That's Hooters.com is the site you want to go to. Upon checkout, make sure you secure your calendar after you order some really good food, all right? Now, let's dive into this, guys. Again, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe. Recently verified on the channel. Very excited to have that come through now. Very excited. And, I've been grinding at this for a long time on all platforms, and now starting to get some real recognition. It's really exciting, and I'm very grateful. So if you are new, make sure you guys subscribe. And I had not an altercation with the player, but I got to talk about this real quickly. We're talking news here. I went on social media and I reposted something. Now, the player didn't. Usually players get pissed off and they comment back. In this case, he didn't. Cordell Patterson, right? I should say Suckerson or Pattersucks. Cordell Pattersucks. He goes, let me tell you this. I don't give an F about your fantasy team. I want to win a game. That's all I care about is winning. So they lost, to the Steelers. I think it was like 19-16 was the score. It doesn't matter. Who cares? It's reality. Patterson loses. I think he put up like 6 points or something like that. So obviously people took to him like, why aren't you performing? He got pissed and, basically told everybody to kind of F off with the fantasy community. And the thing that's wrong with the fantasy community, and one thing I already talked about is that the main thing that's wrong is the cookie cutter copy and paste rankings, which I fixed with 16 rounds. And if you're aware, congratulations, you're doing well. But, another problem is that nobody in the industry is sticking up for the community, right? You have all these players lashing out saying, F your fantasy teams. Kind of like, you guys are below me. I don't care. I'm above you. You're below me. But in actuality, guys, and facts is that we are bigger than them, right? Like a guy like Cordell Patterson, yeah, he's got some good punt return records and all that, but he's going to be forgotten in 5 years, right? But fantasy continues on. Our legacy continues. Our fantasy teams continue, our dynasty teams, etc., right? So again, nobody's sticking up for the community except for me. Again, this is pretty typical because we consider we have spineless jellyfishes as analysts that are too busy, trying to come at me, right? The guy's sticking up for you guys instead of going after these players that are insulting. So again, a lot of sheep. Everybody that gives fantasy analysis is sheep. Everyone. I'm the only lion in the industry, and that's okay. Right? You can't, there's more sheep than there is lions. It's just the herd mentality, right? They don't want to insult and hurt the players' feelings. Oh my goodness. Cowards is what they are. So Patterson came at, the community. I basically called him a loser on Instagram and, lashed back at him. It is what it is, right? You talk about my community, you're going to get it back. Anyway, let's talk about other fantasy football news here. Go check out if not following Instagram, make sure you are. Fantasy football accounts are also on the TikTok. I'm everywhere, man. Just follow, all right? I've also got a Discord group. I'm breaking news there. Make sure you follow. There's a link here below if you're on YouTube. If you're in the car, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and check out the links, all right? Some news here. Again, injuries happen. I'm not going to go over all of them. A couple of them that I'm going to highlight here. Stafford, I kind of called this neck spinal cord contusion. Now, I mentioned there was going to be a Super Bowl decline. Injuries happen. Him and Kupp both sidelined. It is what it is. They had this pinnacle year. Something was bound to go wrong happen, and it did. I called that, right? People are like, oh, you can't predict injury, but you kind of predict things that go down, right? So Stafford, injured. We had, Kenneth Walker kind of did a run to the sideline. I don't know what he tweaked, but he was out. But I really lost it because I only got 3.6 points out of him. I was livid about that. I still am. It's an ankle injury. And he left. He's been ruled out. What a coward. It didn't look like anybody touched him. Again, similar to that CMC thing a couple years ago. Absolutely terrible. Mixon missed a game due to concussion, which was terrible as well, because the guy a couple weeks ago after the game that he got the concussion in was breakdancing in the background. Now you tell me you can't play a football game? Coward, right? So, again, all these injuries happen. Like I said, Lamar Jackson as well, to have a sprained knee possibly. A couple other injuries. Jalen Waddle, his leg got hurt and all that stuff. Let me see if there's anyone else here mentioning. Again, those are just some of the injuries that happened. So the point I'm trying to make is there's a lot of lack of performance and there's also a lot of injuries. So let's go over the sucks and studs at each position, all right? And we're going to talk about some of these guys and how terrible they were. Now, if you look at the quarterback position, Jalen Hurts is consistent as they come. I think he's my new king now because I did a post as well decrowning Derrick Henry, even though I'm wearing a Titans hat for now. That's got to be changed and swapped out. Derrick Henry, very disappointing performance on a relatively easy matchup versus position. We're going to talk about that. But Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to be my new king. He's consistent in reality. He's consistent in fantasy. What else can you ask for from an NFL player and athlete? Personable guy, great mentality. He's my new favorite player, and I've got some sports cards invested in Jalen Hurts. I bought a couple of his signed cards, which I'm hoping are going to inflate in value, which is really interesting. So, again, I look at a guy like Jalen Hurts. I like him. He's the number one quarterback this week, again, excluding the Monday night game, all right? Joe Burrow, solid. Geno Smith, Jared Goff having himself a good game. He's kind of been up and down. Pat Mahomes, consistent. Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, just barely pulled through and got a decent game because he got that 140 some odd, whatever yard touchdown it was, 30 or 40 yarder to Keenan Allen that it was like a third or fourth down. I think it was like 3rd and 12 or 4th and something. And he got it. I'm like, okay, I think it was 3rd and 12. And he got a touchdown. So I'm like, okay, great, we'll take it. Taylor Heineke, Mike White, and Daniel Jones. Mike White making the top 10 here. Pretty surprising, actually, considering he's a guy coming in, nobody expected, Mike White to be doing what he's doing. Mind you, he threw 2 interceptions, but made up, he got that rushing touchdown. Still managed to get 17.46 points. Had a good game. Daniel Jones, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott to round out the top 12 even. Now, so who sucked at the quarterback position? And that's got to go to Deshaun Watson here. There's a couple, actually. Lamar Jackson got hurt. Still, you're not putting up points, 1.34 fantasy points. A lot of people started Lamar Jackson, so he's probably the suck of the week. But I got to go here, like Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, right? Some people started him, obviously. But Deshaun Watson, and I warned against this. I said, let him get the rust out. Let him get, he had the massages out, but let him get the rust out as well. 5.34 points fantasy, 5 points fantasy, 1 interception. What do you have? 131 yards passing. It's pretty embarrassing, guys. Had a bad game, right? Especially from a fantasy perspective. Squeaked out a win, 27-14. More than a squeak, but he was playing Houston. It is what it is, right? Deshaun Watson, though, from a fantasy perspective, a lot of people are getting excited. I'm like, I'd pump the brakes on that. I'd ease up on Deshaun Watson, right? Now, if you guys don't know what happened to Deshaun Watson, if you guys been under a rock, all these civil lawsuits against him for misconduct and butt massages. I think there's over 2 dozen of them. I think one new claim. I think there's 2 outstanding. I think he paid off most of them. But either way, he had his 11-game suspension. He's back, and he's a suck of the week, right into the suck of the week if he started him. But I got to go with Lamar Jackson. Yes, injuries count, all right? Matt Ryan had a bad game, under 10 points. Russell Wilson, honorable mention as well. Moving on to the running back position. Again, a lot of frustration here across the board. Christian McCaffrey, Tony Pollard, Samaje, DeAndre Swift, believe it or not, 21 points. Josh Jacobs, A.J. Dillon, Saquon Barkley. Dillon had a spike because Aaron Jones came out. I think he came back in. Saquon Barkley, Cam Akers, Zeke Elliott, and Zonovan Knight here as your top 10. But even as a top 10, 16.8 points as the 10th running back, not really good in PPR. I mean, you're talking, top 10 guy only producing 16 points. Bad week for running backs all around. Jonathan Taylor, 13 points. Austin Eckler, who's been consistent, only 13 points this week. Najee Harris, 10 points. Aaron Jones, who's in and out, I believe, 10 points. Jamal Williams got himself a touchdown, but that was it, 9.5 points. So who is the suck of the week? There's a ton of guys that crap the bed, but I got to take full ownership on this one. I got to go with Derrick Henry here at 5.8 points. Disgusting. I mean, what do you have here? 30 yards on the ground, 2.7 yards per carry on 11 attempts. Absolutely like vomit in your mouth. And I got to give it to Kenneth Walker as well as suck of the week, 3.6 points. And again, the injury didn't look serious at all, and he was out. It's embarrassing how soft these guys are. So, and Cordarrelle Patterson, 6 points. Very disgusting. Travis Etienne, 7.6. Nick Chubb, 8. So the Kaship's guys, like again, Etienne missing last week, right? Had a bust start into the season. Had a bad week this week. Etienne is the guy that the mainstream loved. 7.6 points. Disgusting. This is the guy that they drafted as their RB1 after going 0 RB, saying, avoid running backs. Make Etienne your RB1. You'll be fine. Sure enough, this is when you need him. 7.6 points. Disgusting. But I got to go here with my guy, Derrick Henry and Kenneth Walker. Terrible weeks. Guys that I was really high on in the season really let me down. Moving on to wide receiver, Adams is consistent as they come. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, you're wrong about Adams. And yes, I was, but let's talk about this. So with Devontae Adams, right, I said that I'm not drafting him simply predicated on the fact that I didn't see the volume being there. Why was that? Because Darren Waller was there and Renfrow were there, right? Fortunately, very fortunately for Adams, if you're a fantasy owner, those guys went down with injury. If you're an Adams owner, that's good news for you because now Adams gets all the volume. Now, the main objection towards Adams wasn't Adams as a talent. It was the fact that Renfrow was the wide receiver one there, and he was last year. Waller was the wide receiver one in 2020. And they were still there, and they had the rapport with Carr. I mean, the best case scenario happened for Adams that the two top receivers over the past couple years got hurt. So good for Adams. Good if you owned Adams. If you're an Adams owner, 37.7 points, amazing. Amon-Ra St. Brown, good week. A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Tyler Lockett, Metcalf, McLaurin, Watson, a sleeper. I told you guys to stash on all rosters. Everybody's riding Watson now. Garrett Wilson, Stephon Diggs. Now, here's the funny thing, right? Christian Watson. What's going to end up happening here, guys, is that everyone's going to rank him top 10, top 15 next year. It's just a matter of time. They're going to copy and paste, but nobody this year talked about him. He was 70th amongst wide receivers, over 100, 40, 50, 60th overall. Now they're going to be riding him. Very damn shame, right? But again, this is what they do every single year. The guys that crap the bed at the wide receiver position, I got to say here, Amari Cooper with 8 points is pretty disgusting. I understand new quarterback in the situation. Still very disgusting. Treylon Burks got hurt, got a touchdown pass. It was like it was a sacrificial fantasy touchdown. If you saw it, came down with the pass, caught it, touchdown, and then I think he was out for the rest of the game, I believe. Juju, 6.5 points, pretty disgusting. Adam Thielen, 4.7 points. Michael Pittman, who's been a huge disappointment, 3.6 fantasy points. And again, it's guys like Michael Pittman and Lazard going into the season. I warned you that these guys weren't really true wide receiver ones, and they busted, right? Jalen Waddle, 1.9 points. Again, a third-round pick for mainstream analyst suggestions. I don't have any Waddle stock, but he got hurt, right? So, again, I would say Waddle, and again, injuries do count. Juju had a bad game, 6 points. Michael Pittman. Drop a comment below. Let me know who was a big-time suck for you. George Pickens, 1.2 points. I think more people expected a lot out of him, a lot more out of him. He had a relatively easy matchup versus position, just completely crapped the bed. So, yeah, I'd say George Pickens and, and the guys I mentioned, Waddle. Again, 1.9 points. A lot of people expecting more out of him. And Pittman, an honorable mention. Tight end, again, I say this every time, and I'm going to keep saying it. I have no expectations for tight ends. But, again, studs, Greg Dulcich, Noah Fant, Evan Ingram, Cole Kmet rounding out the top 4, Gerald Everett, top 5. Travis Kelce, 7.6 points, a bit of a down game for him. I didn't watch the game, actually. I didn't watch most of that, but 7.6 points. TJ Hawkinson, 7.3. Dalton Schultz, 5.3 points. Tyler Higbee, 3.4, and Hunter Henry, 3.3. Tyler Conklin, 2.4. And these are kind of guys that we kind of expect. They got somewhat of a name as a tight end and absolutely did not perform on any level. Very big disappointment. Mark Andrews, 9.4 as well. So I'd say the suck of the week here has to be Dalton Schultz at 5.3. People are expecting more out of him. And even a guy like Kelsey, right? When some people are in fantasy playoffs, the guy they rely on who's consistent every week, 7.6 points. So very, very disappointing. So Kelsey might be actually one of, if not the suck of the week, because we expect so much out of him. But he's so consistent all year round, right? So there you have it, guys. Very disappointing. And again, Dameon Pierce had a bad game, I know. Derrick Henry, very big disappointment. ATN. But again, with fantasy, there's no guarantees, right? And we see guys like Christian Watson, who's ranked 70th amongst wide receivers, as a top 10 receiver, like for the past 3 or 4 weeks. It's been amazing. And this is why you go robust RB and stash those wide receivers, like I told you, and you're going to be light years ahead of the competition. All right, guys. Also, head on over to, if you haven't done this yet, prizepicks.com. Use code DFSLine. They'll double your first deposit up to $100. Prizepicks.com. Go check out the site. DFSLine is the code you want to use. Go try it. Experience, guys. Prize Picks right now. Amazing way to play DFS. All right. We got Monday Night Football, so go enhance that game watching experience. Prizepicks.com. DFSLine is the code you want to use. Go try it out. Thanks for being here, guys. Subscribe, thumbs up. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Drop your suck of the week and any questions you have below. I'll get to them. Subscribe. I'm out.